Alright guys, let's do our first online lesson. Now this is about dialogue and it's relatively easily. Hopefully this is kind of review for most of you, so it should work out well as our first online lesson. Now I will be checking your notes on this. I want you to go ahead and put everything that I put on here, and then I'll check over to make sure you do, and like I said, a lot of this could be review. As some of you might know, dialogue is characters talking in a story. The use of quotation marks will be used. Characters talking. Now we use dialogue primarily to show versus tell. And what I mean by that is to use dialogue to develop characterization . And when we say characterization, as you know, steal, the first part of steal in terms of indirect characterization is speech. Okay, so what they say can help develop what you're trying to say about that character. Okay, so to develop characterization and also to develop details about your plot. So develop characterization and develop details to strengthen your plot. So there are first a few things I want to talk about how to do this correctly, and the first part of it is punctuation. And what I mean by that is if we have, he is looking forward to going to school. Let's talk about the punctuation part. Quotation marks to start and to finish what the character is saying. Okay? Between this, there is no space. This is capitalized. So quotation marks surround what is actually being said. No space here, and then no space here. And lastly, the punctuation to signify the close of what's being said is inside the quote. Let's talk about a tag. The second thing I want to talk about is when a character, or who, let's say, who is saying a quote. So we might say that Shelley says, and then we'll use the other sentence. He is looking forward to going to school. So go ahead and write that sentence there. Shelley says he is looking forward to going to school. Once again, go ahead and notice that capitalized, no space, period, inside the quote to close. Now we don't use the quotation mark inside, we don't surround Shelley says because that's not actually what's being said. Okay, so we only quote what is being said. This part is called the tag. Who is saying? So if it's at the beginning of the sentence, no matter if this is a proper noun or not, this is always capitalized because it's at the beginning of the sentence. It could be she says. She is not a proper noun, but it is capitalized because it's at the beginning of the sentence. Okay? Once again, we have that being capitalized. So this is the tag at the beginning of the quote. Tag before the quote starts. We can also have the tag at the end. We'll go back to Shelley says. Okay. This is what's being said by Shelley. Now you have the tag at the end. So instead of a period inside the quotation, you have a comma because there is more to the sentence, and then a period at the end. Okay? This will always be a period, even if this is exclamatory and there's an exclamation point right here. If we change this to an exclamation point, this is still the same. Period at the end. Then we can also have a tag in the middle. He is looking forward, Shelley says, to going to school. Okay, let's look at this. This stuff is still the same. Quotation mark, capital H in he, okay, comma here because there is more to the sentence. Close the quote. We don't surround Shelley says with quotes because it's not being said by Shelley. Now, to carry this forward, this is still a continuation of he is looking forward to going to school. When you have the tag in the middle, you do not capitalize the first letter of the first word in the second part of the quote, unless it would normally be capitalized. He is looking forward to going to school is still within quotes. That's still one sentence. So this is not capitalized here. Okay, and then the rest of it is like normal. So pretty basic. You want to use dialogue in your short story, which was assigned to you today. Okay, Monday. The second part is you want to use it to develop characterization, to develop the storyline, develop the plot. Okay, you don't want to overuse it, but you definitely want to use it as details within the story, as details about your character. When you do it, it's important to do it properly. You want to have the right punctuation. You only want to quote what is being quoted by the character. Okay, you don't want to quote the tag. It's important to have tags, but you don't want to overuse those also, and we'll work about that in class a little bit. So you don't have to have a tag every time you have a quote. Okay, and it's important to properly punctuate where the tag is and how that needs to be done. Lastly, within a story, you'll have characters talking in dialogue, and when you do, let me fix you here. When you have characters talking, number 3 is a new paragraph when a new character speaks. New paragraph when a new character speaks. So you'll re-indent each time, even if it's just a series of one-word quotation marks. And I wouldn't recommend this, but for the sake of the example, if you have, did you go to the store? Then we would new paragraph. No. New paragraph. Why not? Just like this. Even if it's one or two word answers, if it's a new paragraph, if it's a new person speaking, it'll be a new paragraph. And that'll indicate to the reader that you do have a new speaker. That way we don't have to have a tag every time. You don't have to have a I asked, she responded, I asked again, she responded again. You don't have to have a tag every time. This new paragraph or indentation will indicate a new speaker. So these are the 3 points I want you to know. I want you to write down about the proper punctuation, the tag, and the fact that there's a new paragraph. We'll work in class about examples, and you'll even write a few of your own.